That's another thing that the committee is going to have to think about, right? Because do you put in a team like SMU that might get blown out by Penn State in the first round or might have a magical run? Or do you put a 3-loss Bama team in that still might lose to Penn State? Let's be real, because they weren't that good this year. Alabama is not that good.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Right Bench Podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm James.
Season 3, Episode 18.
Woo!
College football playoff, second round recap, semifinal preview, recent rundown, final NFL picks, and DAWG of the week. So, you want to start with the college football futures draft recap?
Yeah, let's take a look at the futures draft. It's over.
Yeah, so all the points have been tallied because all the teams in the Final Four are mine. So, the amount of points that I get has been set in stone, but I don't know what teams are going to get.
All the teams I needed to win lost.
Yeah.
So, I needed Oregon, I needed Arizona State, I needed Boise, I needed Georgia. They all lost.
Yeah, and so final score 53-32. Big win by me. I went for college football playoff wins, and it ended up working perfectly.
Yeah.
With all the Final Four. So.
I was definitely expecting Georgia to help me out more, too, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that sucks. All right. And freaking Abdul Carter didn't win the Ted Hendricks Award, which is also stupid. So I should have 54.
Who ended up winning it?
It's some Boston College bomb.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Well, Abdul Carter really wasn't he's the most talented one, but he wasn't the best.
All right, well, bro. Let's move on. Who won the draft?
You won.
Yeah, I won the draft. All right. And who won NFL picks?
You did.
Oh, yeah, I did that too.
Well, we're not there yet, though. But
Yeah, but All right. College football playoff quarterfinals. Same thing as we did last week. 2 takeaways from each game. Penn State 31, Boise State 14. James, start us off.
I think my first thing for Penn State, what they did well is they really did just bottle up Ashton Jeanty, who was second in Heisman voting, almost won the Heisman, closest Heisman race since 2009. They bottled him up completely. I mean, he had 30 carries for over 100 yards. He had 104 yards. Did not break the record. A 3.5 average. That is horrible for Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty was nowhere close to that this year on his averages. He's been great all year, and Boise has had an incredible season for their fans, for the coaching staff, and then obviously for Jeanty being able to be a Heisman guy and boost his draft stock to a top 20 pick at least. Good season for Jeanty, but I think Penn State was a lot too much. They bottled up. They took him away pretty easily.
Yeah. Are we talking about Penn State first?
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay,
going to do.
so for Penn State, I said if Penn State plays their game, they can beat anyone. If they can control the game, they can run the ball like they do. They can play defense like they do. If they can have the ability to throw the ball, they can beat anybody. But it's just about if they can play their game, and that's what I have for Penn State.
Yeah, and then for Boise it was shutting down Jeanty, but Drew Allard truly, in my opinion, looks NFL ready at this point, and he's coming back for another year. Reports have already come out saying that they would be the number one guy on some guy's draft board. So there's already been reports from Schefter and stuff that a couple of GMs in the league love Drew Allard. I think Drew Allard can be NFL ready. And next year, I think he'll be the first guy off the board in the QB room. So I think Drew Allard is my favorite quarterback left in these semifinals. And I think he's going to have to play a big role if they want to take it all the way.
Yeah. So I said what I have for Boise State was that Ashton Jeanty just hadn't seen a defense like this, and Boise State in general just hadn't seen a defense like this. In Penn State, that's just so dominant, right? They're bigger than you, more talented than you, stronger than you, and they were just big manning, just more physical. They're dominant, right? They're bullying.
They're a better team.
Boise State, yeah. And Ashton Jeanty, I don't know, he just couldn't handle it. Maybe the offensive line couldn't handle it. I don't know, but he wasn't very good. And
it was a little bit better.
I'm glad he didn't break the record because they didn't count Barry Sanders' bowl game. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, Barry Sanders did it in 11 games. That's what's incredible about it. Jeanty would have done it in 15. So I mean, 14. So really,
yeah, shouldn't break it. Good. All right. Next game, Texas 39, Arizona State 31, 2 overtimes. James.
This was an incredible game. I watched this game from start to finish. I told y'all this was going to be, I think, an upset-worthy game, and it had a chance to be. Obviously, Texas beats them out in second overtime. I want to start with Cam Scatterbo. He should have been invited to New York for the Heisman ceremony, and we can talk about how maybe Cam Ward was a better pick, or maybe Dylan Gabriel was a better pick, but both those guys aren't in the playoffs anymore. Cam Scatterbo isn't either, but but no, they didn't have seasons like Cam Scatterbo did and what Arizona State did. They were picked last in the Big 12. They were picked last at the beginning of the year, and they were the best in the Big 12. They took it to 2 overtimes versus Texas. Played an incredible game. He had 30 carries for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he also led the team in receptions. He had 8 receptions for 99 yards, and he threw a touchdown. He played an incredible game. He looked like the best player in the world, right, in college football in that game. But I don't know. Arizona State played, I'd say, a hard-fought game. A team like Texas, with the talent that they have, it is so hard to beat a team like Texas, especially when you're Arizona State.
Well, the crazy thing about Scotty's game is that he did basically all of it in the second half. Like, he was bottled up in the first half.
Mm.
Texas's defense was faster than him. They were stronger than him. But then he came out in the second half and he really dominated. For Arizona State, I said just they were for real. Like, people were saying, oh, they're going to get bottled up. They're going to be bad. And they did. But then they came back and they showed that they are for real. They never gave up in this game. Down by 16, like, in third quarter. I mean, it was over. But they came back and they brought it to overtime. Just by wearing down the Texas defense, right? The Texas defense that was so stingy in the first half, that was so, like, dominant, but they were able to wear them down and get to them, and that's what they did in the second half, mainly the fourth quarter. And for Texas, I just said they need to figure out how to play a complete game. Like, because they played that first half, like I said, they were amazing. But in the second half, they completely fell apart. It's like they forgot that they were the better team.
But in overtime, they played well.
Well, yeah, they played well in overtime.
So weird.
They need to figure out how to play a complete game if they want to go anywhere more in these playoffs, especially against Ohio State. So that's what I have for them. Just a little concerned. Can't have half a game against Ohio State and expect to win.
Yeah, Arizona State was down 16 with 7 minutes left in the entire game.
Really?
Yes. 7 minutes left. And they threw a touchdown.
Yeah, I was sleeping for it. Joe Tessitore woke me up with the scalaboo. And then I woke up and I was like, wait, he didn't catch the touchdown.
Threw one.
It was through. Okay.
Texas, what I said for them is they look beatable, which is similar to what you're saying. If their offense doesn't start clicking on every single cylinder and every single facet of the game, which they were at the beginning of the year, it is slowed down through the course of the year, their offense. I thought Quinn Ewers was going to come into this year and be the best quarterback in the nation. I did. He has not been. He has had spurts where he looks like he is, but he cannot have a complete game. He hasn't all year. So he obviously was banged up and stuff, but Quinn Ewers and Texas look beatable if their offense doesn't start clicking, because that defense is going to play well no matter what.
I feel like their offense was clicking for most of this game.
It really wasn't.
Like
not
the first half, they were great.
The second half,
overtime, they were great. Second half, I mean, they scored some points, didn't they?
I think they scored 3 points in the second half.
They had it wasn't great, but then also Arizona State controlled the ball. So
how
much time do they have with the ball? You know what I'm saying?
They might have scored 0 points in the second half. I'm not gonna lie. If it started,
second half I think they had 7 in the second half. I'll check. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we said about that. Let me look.
They scored 7 in the fourth quarter.
7 in the fourth quarter. So, and see, that was a good drive. 13 plays, 76 yards. So they had probably three or so bad drives, which is not too bad. But they need to be better against Ohio State.
Oh yeah.
Play that complete game. All right. Speaking of the devil, Ohio State 41, Oregon 21. I'll start with Oregon. I'll say they were. I don't think any less of Oregon than I did before this game. I really don't. They were just a little sluggish coming into the game, and they ran into the best team in the country, in Ohio State. And Ohio State put the pedal down to them, and they couldn't get out of it. It was like 30-something to 0 in the first half. So, I mean, I think they just caught off guard. Like I said, I don't think any less of Oregon than I did before. Still think they're a great team. Still think they're one of the top 4 teams in the country. Just ran into Ohio State on a bad day.
Yeah, so the committee's going to have something to think about next year with what the bracket looks like, because a team like Oregon, who went undefeated, just ran into the hottest team in the country. Now, what the committee has done well with the 12-team playoff, which I love, Ohio State is the best team in the country right now, and they're the 8th seed, right? They wouldn't even have a chance to get in after that loss at Michigan in the 14 playoff.
Yeah.
But they're the best team in the country right now. So,
I was pitching right here. I would say the same thing about Georgia last year.
Yeah.
Losing the conference championship, they were the best team in the country. They would have won it all. It's subjective, but I'm pretty confident they would have won it all in that playoff last year. And so that's something that you can look at this year and say, look, Ohio State's doing that this year, which Georgia didn't get the chance to last year.
Yeah, obviously there's highs and lows to the 12-team playoff, and the low for Oregon is running into a buzzsaw in Ohio State right now, but they never found a groove offensively.
They did in the second half. When it was over, but they scored 21.
They really didn't, though. I mean, in the second half, they didn't score 21.
Yes, they did.
They scored 8. In the first half, they had an 8. They had a drive at the end of the first half where they scored 8.
Yeah, okay. And then at the end of the game, they had a couple touchdowns like they were.
I mean, they scored 13 points in the second half. That's finding a groove offensively.
I mean, it's not great.
Like, I mean, 21 points,
had-
the best team in the country,
they had-
supposed to be the best offense in the country,
When-
is not good.
They had a few good drives. They had 10 plays 75, 11 plays 75, 10 plays 50.
Nah, yeah, their best drive was that one at the end of the first half, but they never find a groove because Jordan James went out with an injury, and that was the biggest thing for me. They weren't able to run the ball effectively. When you take that fast away in their offense, it's hard to get back into the game, especially being down so much at the beginning.
Yeah, so now for Ohio State. This is just, they're the best team in the country, and they had their best game. Like, period. We thought the Tennessee game would be their best. No, they showed us what their best looks like, and it's here. So they're going to have to probably replicate that or close to it against Texas, but this was so impressive against Oregon, who's supposed to be the best team in the country. To make a statement like this is amazing.
Yeah, and we saw Dan Lanning even said it in his post-game interview. He said, sometimes we have bad games. We had a bad game this game. Ohio State had a bad game against Michigan. All those bad games are gone for Ohio State, in my opinion. They're here. They're ready. I think they're locked in from here into the national championship, in my opinion. But Jeremiah Smith was the main factor in this game. He would be the number one overall pick if he was coming in the NFL draft this year. He would be the number one overall pick. It didn't matter who's taking him. If it's the Patriots, if it's the Giants, he would be the number one overall pick. As a freshman. He is a freshman.
That's
he had 7 receptions, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They could not guard him in the first half. It was kind of sad to watch for Oregon, if I'm being honest. And Jeremiah Smith played an incredible game as a freshman, first time in the Rose Bowl, take down the number one team in the country. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, what was I about to say? Shoot. Oh, yeah, I was about to say, if there's any defense fit to take down Ohio State, it's Texas. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I'm still not confident in Texas, though. And then for Oregon, just like this playoff thing, I feel like their best option is to make it a 16-team bracket.
Maybe.
And say no buys, because all the teams with buys lost. Right? So say no buys, everyone's got to play, and then the one seed would play the worst team, and everything would be fine.
Or you just make it where it's the best 4 teams get buys.
You could do that, but then...
So it's like...
But then the conference championships don't mean anything, really.
Well, yeah, you get the conference championship, you get in. But that doesn't mean you get a bye.
Yeah, so
you get yourself in.
So then, like the Georgia-Texas game wouldn't have really mattered for Texas. They could have gone out there and done nothing and still been.
I mean,
top
it didn't really matter for Texas either.
Well, they wanted the bye. This year.
Well, yeah, obviously, but like they were in either way.
Yeah, so I'm saying like the teams in the conference championships, like they're trying to make the conference championships matter more by them playing for a bye. Whereas if you take that away, then it just takes the meaning.
Well, I mean, think about it. Let's say if it's the ACC championship,
yeah,
it's
some of them will
Clemson,
matter.
SMU.
Some of them will matter. Some of them.
I mean, the SEC. Whoever gets in the SEC championship game, they're both in. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like whether you have 3 losses in the SEC and you get in the SEC championship, you're in. It doesn't matter, in my opinion.
So, that's my take. Go to 16 teams, and
I don't think you add more. I don't think that
they're
helps
going to add more at some point. There's already a deal done for 14.
But that doesn't help the problem with this at all.
What's the problem?
The problem was blowouts. The problem was blowouts at the beginning of the year. Okay, or at the beginning of the playoff.
That's just how it goes.
At the beginning of the playoff, the problem was blowouts.
That's just how it goes. You want more teams, and it's also just the way this year went. Some years will go different.
Put more teams.
So you put more teams to avoid a team like Oregon playing the best team in the country.
Or you don't set it up in a way where Ohio State and Tennessee are playing to go play the number 1 team in the country.
How would you do that?
Well, you make it buys for the best 4 teams in the country.
Okay, you could do that. But then there's 2 options. They're fine options, just not a perfect option. They're gonna have to find one. Okay.
They'll figure it out. It's really not that. They'll figure it out.
All right, Notre Dame 23, Georgia 10. I'll start with Georgia. The one thing I said was just the SEC just wasn't as good as we thought this year, guys.
Nope.
Like it just wasn't. Texas, great team. Georgia, great team before Carson Beck went out. They didn't look great in this game. They got out physical. They got out tough. Big Ten was probably the best conference in college football this year. And so yeah, Georgia was just out physical in this game. That's all it really says, and it says something about the SEC that we thought they were all better than everyone else, when really they were all not better than everyone else. They were all just good. Whereas a team like the Big Ten, or a conference like the Big Ten, had more good teams. And so that's really what I took away.
And that's another thing that the committee is going to have to think about, right? Because do you put in a team like SMU that might get blown out by Penn State in the first round or might have a magical run? Or do you put a 3-loss Bama team in that still might lose to Penn State, let's be real, because they weren't that good this year. Alabama is not that good. South Carolina was not that good. They were hot. They weren't that good. Ole Miss, I think, was the only one with really a chance to do anything, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
Ole Miss is a good team.
But the SEC was not that good this year. So maybe this is just the new NIL thing, and now it's more of an even playing field. I don't know. But the committee's going to have to think about, do we still put the most deserving teams in, or do we put the best teams in the country in? Because if we're saying that Bama was a better team than SMU, they're probably both losing to Penn State in the first round, in my opinion. Yeah. So, like, why does it really matter? So I think that's going to be something interesting for the committee to think about.
Well, they're going to always put the more deserving team in. That's never going to change.
Well,
that's just how it's going to get. They're going to get way more heat for putting in Bama than they did.
Then why did Bama go in the playoff last year?
They got a lot of heat for that. And they did. And that was because Florida State's quarterback was out.
But they were more deserving. They went undefeated.
That was a completely different situation, yes. But, like, if in this case, like, SMU was deserving, they had the season, they didn't lose the game, so you give it to SMU. And they're never going to change in that scenario. That would always be SMU.
I think the Notre Dame defense was what I was most impressed with. I mean, Gunnar Stockton actually played a very good game. He was efficient. Yeah. He made good drives. They could not run the ball effectively. And Notre Dame stopped that, and I think that was what was impressive. I think they might have the best defense left in the playoffs, and they don't turn the ball over. I think that's so impressive. Georgia had 2 turnovers, Notre Dame had 0. They barely ever turn the ball over this year, and that's going to help them, especially if they can get to the national championship.
Yeah, for sure. My thing for Notre Dame is that they bullied the bullies. Like you said, Gunnar Stockton played well. There's nothing more you can expect out of him, right? But Notre Dame, they just were more physical. Like I said, they in the trenches, in the secondary, like everywhere. They were just better. And they had less than 250 total yards in this game. Less than 250. They still controlled the game. They still dominated. It wasn't even close. So that was the thing I took away. Notre Dame was just the more dominant team, the more physical team. So, yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
So, James, you want to lead us in?
Cue the music.
Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, and Notre Dame win their quarterfinal games. All the teams at the bye lose. The semifinals will go Ohio State versus Texas, Notre Dame versus Penn State. The Rams clinch the NFC West. The Chargers and the Commanders clinch playoff spots. The Eagles clinch the NFC East, and the Ravens clinch the AFC North. Last week, the Vikings beat the Packers, and the Commanders beat the Falcons in overtime to clinch a playoff spot. And this week, the Lions will play the Vikings for the division and the 1 seed. The Broncos can clinch a playoff berth with a win versus the Chiefs. Miami can clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Denver loss. And Cincinnati can clinch the playoff berth with a Denver and Miami loss. The Bucks clinch with a win, and Atlanta clinches with a win and a Tampa Bay loss. The Kings fire head coach and former coach of the year Mike Brown. D'Angelo Russell is traded to the Nets for Dorian Finney-Smith. Gleyber Torres signs with the Tigers. Teoscar Hernandez re-signs with the Dodgers, and Corbin Burns signs with the hometown D-backs. Saquon Barkley is the 9th player ever to reach 2,000 rushing yards. He's 100 yards away from the record, but he will not play in Week 18. He's being rested for the playoffs. He will not get the record. In Miami's bowl game, Cam Ward threw his 156th career touchdown, passing Case Keenum for the most ever in Division I history. That includes FCS. Bryce James, little brother of NBA G League star Bronny James, commits to play for Arizona. Lamar Jackson becomes the first player ever to have 4,000 pass yards and 900 rush yards in a season, which my king could do, but he just doesn't try. The Heat suspend Jimmy Butler 7 games. James, where will he be traded?
It's a great question. It's the first player that we've seen in a while where he doesn't have destinations where he wants to go.
He does.
He really doesn't. He said, give me any team. He just doesn't want to be in Miami.
What I've heard is that he said he'd rather be the Rockets, Suns, Warriors, and like one other team.
We'd rather go to contender, obviously. He doesn't want to go to Detroit. He doesn't want to go to the Wizards. But my guess is going to be Dallas or Houston. That'd be my 2 picks. He's from Texas, obviously. He's a Texas guy. And a lot of players want to be in Houston right now, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Houston. That's going to be my pick. I think Houston's got so many assets to trade right now, and they can't keep all their young talent. So getting a guy like Jimmy Butler actually might help them come playoff time.
That definitely makes sense. I haven't been following the NBA at all this year. I'm not going to lie. But I like to see him on the Warriors. So
yeah, maybe.
If he said he wants to go there, that would be awesome.
The problem is I don't think they have enough to get him.
That's the problem. And so maybe they can pull it out. I don't know. But
same thing with the Suns. Like I don't want the Suns to get him.
Like
coming from a Suns fan, I don't want us to get Jimmy Butler. I don't need another old player on our team. I'm just going to be real with you. We'd have to
trade one of them.
We'd have to trade Bradley Beal. Yeah. And they don't want Bradley Beal's contract. He also has a no trade clause. He'd have to want to be traded to Miami.
Which he won't.
Which
it's not gonna happen.
Which he might. I mean, but it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna happen because I don't think Miami's gonna take that contract. Yeah. So I'd say Jimmy goes to Houston or Dallas. That'd be my 2 picks.
Right. I want to see him in Golden State, but it's probably not gonna happen. All right. Semifinals.
Let's do it.
2 games. Number 7 Notre Dame. Number 6 Penn State. Start with the key players. I'll start with Notre Dame. My key player, firstly, is Riley Leonard. He needs to be a dual threat weapon. I've said it every single game, and he's done it every single game. He needs to be able to throw the ball better than he did last game. Going to have to run the ball just as well as he did in the last game if they want to beat Penn State and their stingy defense. My second key player, Xavier Watts. He's a safety, and it's just really the entire defense led by Xavier Watts to force Drew Aller into mistakes. You got to suppress the Penn State passing game. They're going to be able to run the ball. That's your D-line is going to be great. They're going to limit it probably a little bit. It's the secondary defense. Suppress the Penn State passing game. Make Drew Aller make mistakes, and that's how you win this game.
Okay, so my first guy for Notre Dame is Jordan Faison, the receiver. I think they're going to have to throw the ball more. In my opinion, he's the best receiver on this team. He won the lacrosse national championship for Notre Dame. If you've seen that story, it's probably been floating around the past couple of weeks. But they need to throw the ball to win this game, in my opinion. So I think a guy like that, a leader that's been in a championship scenario like that before, I think is actually a really key piece. Like, it actually does play a part. Even though it was lacrosse, it does play a part. Being in a national championship scenario like that and winning it, I think it's a big deal. And then Jack Kaiser, the senior middle linebacker. I picked Xavier Watts 2 weeks ago, or a week ago. I didn't want to pick him again. But I went with the senior middle linebacker because they have to read Allar's eyes. Allar has been great with his eyes the past 2 games. That's what's been so impressive to me. He genuinely looks like a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen right now in the playoffs. He looks like that. What he does with his eyes, the way he gets out the pocket. Jack Kaiser's going to have to hunt him down. There's going to be some QB spies on him, especially just when he gets out the pocket, whether he runs or throws. Jack Kaiser, the senior middle linebacker, is going to play a big part in my opinion.
Yeah, Drew Aller really impresses me. He doesn't do anything special. He just does it right. And that's why they're winning games right now. They're doing it right. Speak of the devil, Drew Aller is my first key player for Penn State. My key here is to play smart. Do not turn the ball over. You see what happened to Georgia when they turned the ball over to Notre Dame. You don't want to do it. You have to play smart and keep the ball in your hands. Secondly, Tyler Warren. You got to get the Notre Dame defense off balance. If they don't know what you're doing, they're going to be off balance. That's good. And Tyler Warren leads that charge because you never know where he's going to line up. You never know where he's going to go or how he's going to get the ball. That's going to be big to keep the Notre Dame defense on their toes and keep them off balance.
I also went with Tyler Warren. Your star players have to make big plays in big games, right? This is the best player on offense, in my opinion. He's the most dynamic player on offense. He's the hardest to match up against. So your best players need to make big plays. Tyler Warren's going to play a big factor. He's going to get the ball. You know that. It's just how you limit him for Notre Dame. And then Abdul Carter. He's actually questionable in this game. He's dealing with an arm injury. He sustained it in the Boise State game. Went out, I believe, in the second quarter. And he's working back to get to this game, but James Franklin has said multiple times throughout the week he's a little skeptical whether he should play or not because it is a bigger injury than I think they thought. So I think him playing or him not playing is actually a really big deal for Notre Dame because getting pressure to Riley Leonard has been a big deal in the first 2 rounds. They haven't really been able to get pressure to him, and once they get pressure to him, he's able to get outside of the pocket and run. Abdul Carter is a guy who can chase him down. He's fast enough to do it, so I think he plays a key part in this game if he plays.
Yeah, and they've been saying, like, James Franklin, he won the playoff game, but it hasn't been the big game. This is the big game. You can relinquish that, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, everyone thinks you're a big game loser. This is the game where you can say, look, I'm not the big game loser. You can change that big time. You couldn't do it against Boise or against SMU. This is the game. You get to the national championship, you are officially a big game winner. Key matchup. For me, it's just the trenches. It applies to both sides. This game will be won in the trenches. It will be lost in the trenches. Who can block better in their run game? Who can protect their quarterback better? Who can get to the other team's quarterback? Who can stop the run? Period. This game will be won in the trenches. It will be lost in the trenches. The trenches is the key matchup.
My key matchup is the coaching staff. I think Marcus Freeman versus James Franklin. I think whoever coaches a better game wins it. I think Marcus Freeman right now is the best coach left in the playoffs. He has changed the culture at Notre Dame. Now, I like to say that Brian Kelly laid down the foundation, but Marcus Freeman built the house, right? All his guys that play for him want to play for him. You don't see a lot of coaches like that. Like, if I was a player out of Steve Sarkisian at Texas or Ryan Day at Ohio State or James Franklin at Penn State, I'd want to play for Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. I think a lot of players want to do that. And then James Franklin. The big game skeptics, I guess, have said, like, you can't win a big game. Well, in my opinion, he's won 2. He's won 2 games in the playoffs. Those are big games. I think he can win another one here in the Orange Bowl. But I think it's between the coaching staff because I think whoever coaches the better game really does win it.
Yeah, I mean, there were big games that James Franklin won, but they were severely outmatched teams against him. So it's not like playing Ohio State or playing Oregon.
Yeah, they got the best draw, obviously.
So this is the team that they match up with, actually. And so this is the game where you actually have to earn it, and you actually need to go out there and coach well to win. So keys to the game, I'll start with Notre Dame, is to force turnovers. They've been so good at it the entire year in the playoffs. They've been so good at it. They need to set up their offense for success, which again they did so well versus Georgia, having under 250 total yards. Right, got to force turnovers if you want to win this game for Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think it's the defense showing up. They've done it all year. And it's similar to forcing turnovers and just playing fast. I think running around the field, making good tackles, which they've done all year, it's just they have to keep showing up. Because if they start to slow down, Penn State's they're going to be able to capitalize on that. So I think Notre Dame's defense showing up, playing their game is going to play a big factor in this one.
Yeah. Penn State, my key is to run the ball, control the game, be the more physical team, out physical. Bully the bullies again, like Notre Dame did to Georgia. Bully the bullies, wear them out, and that'll open up your pass game as well. So run the ball, control the game, bully the bullies. That's what I have for Penn State.
So I actually have the complete opposite. I think you let Drew Aller cook because I think he's the best quarterback left in the semifinals, in my opinion. I think he's the most dynamic quarterback left in these semifinals, and I think he's going to be the hardest to stop for Notre Dame. It's a quarterback that they haven't seen all year. I've been very impressed with what he's done in these playoffs. I was very impressed with what he did in the Ohio State game. I was actually impressed with what he did in the Big Ten championship game. Even though they lost both those games, he has had a great season. I expect him to keep it up in this one, so I think letting him cook and letting him just play well, play his game for Penn State, and not just forcing the run down their throat is a bigger key factor.
Well, you shouldn't need to force the run if you can run the ball. All right.
I think you can throw the ball more than run.
Well, then that's not going to work. But anyway, watch them do that, and they're going to get killed. All right. My pick, I think Notre Dame controls this game. I think they force multiple turnovers. I think Penn State fights in it. I really do. But I think they can't match Notre Dame's physicality the same way Georgia couldn't and the same way Indiana couldn't. I think Notre Dame wins it 20-13. I think they win the trenches and they win the game.
I got the exact same score. I have 20-13 Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl. I really want to pick Penn State because I think Penn State's the better team, but Notre Dame is playing better at the moment. I think they're just... I am putting all my faith in Marcus Freeman. I really am because I think he's going to out-coach James Franklin, and I think he's going to coach a game where he throws in some trickery and they just scrap points, right? They get scrappy points. I think Notre Dame wins 20-13 in Miami and moves on to the national championship.
Yeah. This is going to be really close. This is going to be a really good game. These are two.
It's going to be a defensive game.
This is why we do the college football playoff, right? These are the two games. These are great. And these are like two great matchups, right? The national championship won't be as much of a great matchup, but these two teams on both sides, just very similar, can match up really well. So that's fun. And remember what happened last time we picked the same score? We were off by like 4 total points.
Yeah, it was pretty locked on, and it was with Penn State too.
Yeah, it was Penn State. We had them winning, but whatever. Yeah, that was crazy. We had like 4 total points off. That was nuts. All right, number 8 Ohio State, number 5 Texas. Key players you start Ohio State.
It's Will Howard because he's playing like he's the best QB in the country. It's simple as that. He threw for 319 yards, 3 touchdowns in the last game. He has not thrown interceptions in the last couple of games. That's what's been so impressive to me. His eyes, the way he finds players down the field, his go balls, it is very impressive. He's playing like the best quarterback in the country. He's got to continue to do that. And then I couldn't really find another key player, so I went with Ryan Day because they said that there was a lot of pressure on his coaching job, right? There was a lot of pressure. He's now won 2 games. They look like the best team in the country. In my opinion, there's actually more expectations, and they're higher now. Because now, you look like the best team in the country. You're favored by 6 against Texas. You got to go win this game, right? You're the better team, of course. So I think there's actually more pressure, not on his job, but more pressure just on him to go win this game and bring them to the national title, something they've never been able to really do with him.
Yeah, so my first key player is Will Howard, right? He's been so good in this playoff. You said it, but he's got to keep it up. He cannot slow down against the Texas defense. That will bury you if you try to slow down. And my second one is TreVeyon Henderson. He not only needs to run effectively versus the Texas defense, because he's looked like the best running back on this team, and he probably is. He doesn't need to just run the ball effectively, but he needs to be able to be that extra wrinkle in the pass game that he's been the last 2 games. Be there to make the play when the other guys aren't open. Just be that extra little wrinkle that defenses can't stop. That's my big thing for TreVeyon Henderson.
Okay, all right. For UT, Quinn Ewers. I didn't pick any quarterbacks in the last game. I picked 2 quarterbacks here. You got to show me why you're the best quarterback in the country, dude, because in spurts you look so good, but in other ones you don't. You don't look like you should be starting for Texas. So show me why you're the best QB left in these semifinals, right? Show me why you're the better quarterback in this game, and show me why y'all are the better team. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I went with Michael Taft. I want to just shout him out, honestly, because this defense needs a leader to show up. I didn't see that in the Arizona State game. It might be him. It might be Anthony Hill Jr. But either way, you need a leader to show up, because in that Arizona State game, they were sporadic in the second half. They did not play as a team on defense, and they've done so well all year with tackling, playing good defense, smart defense, and they looked nothing like that in the second half of the Arizona State game. Looked a little bit better in overtime, but not that much. So they need a leader to show up in this game to just from the jump put pressure on Ohio State. I think Michael Taft can do that.
Yeah, so I picked Quinn Ewers, and I put it this way. The rest of the year, Quinn Ewers has been more of a system quarterback, which is not what we expected out of him this year. That's not going to fly in this game. In this game, Quinn Ewers needs to be a playmaker. He can't just sit back in the pocket and wait for guys to get open. He's got to. That's just what system quarterbacks do, and it's worked this year because how talented his team is. But you got to be a playmaker now. You have to be getting around that pocket, getting guys open, throwing them open. You got to be a playmaker in this game if you want to win. This is an easy one for me, for my second key player. I went with Jahdae Barron. He's the Thorpe Award winner. And you're going to be following around Jeremiah Smith. He's the best receiver in the country. It's very simple. You have to limit him. Don't let him do what he did against Oregon and what he did against Tennessee. It's quite a simple assignment for Jahdae Barron, but it's a really tough one.
It is, yeah. Probably the toughest in the country right now.
All right, key matchup.
My key matchup is Texas' actual pass rush versus Will Howard's decision making. It's not their pass rush against the offensive line, because they're going to get to Will Howard. Their defensive line is so strong. But stepping up in the pocket and making good plays for Will Howard's going to be a big factor in this game. Being able to throw downfield, which they've been able to do in the first two games of the playoff. They weren't able to do it in the Michigan game. They brought pressure to him. Texas has to bring pressure because they're going to be unblocked at certain times. You got to get to Will Howard, and his decision making has to be pristine if they're going to win this game.
For me, again, the key matchup was easy. It's the same thing. It's like if Texas doesn't lock down Jeremiah Smith, or at least limit him, they can't win this game, period. Jahdae Barron versus Jeremiah Smith. You just can't let him go wild again. He's going to get his catches. He's going to get his moments. But you cannot let him go absolutely wild like he did. You got to make it tough for him. You got to make him work for it. Got to wear him down. And make Ohio State find other means of production. Make them go to Ibuka or Judkins or Henderson. Or make Will Howard do it himself. Make them find other means of production. It can't just be Jeremiah Smith. So that's my key matchup, Jeremiah Smith versus Jahdae Barron.
Yeah, my keys to the game for UT, to start off, get back to running the ball. Because they ran the ball so horribly in that Arizona State game. I said after their game against Clemson how well they ran the ball and how bad their passing was in that game against Clemson, how good their running the ball was. If they could continue to do that, they're the best team in the country. Because the team who runs the ball best, in my opinion, will win the national championship. Maybe not, but UT was running the ball so effectively. They were bad in the Arizona State game. Get back to running the ball. Don't put the pressure on Quinn Ewers, because I don't think he's a quarterback that needs all that pressure, especially in a big game like this. You can't make mistakes. Get back to running the ball.
For Texas, I said just start off strong. Do not let Ohio State do what they did to Tennessee or what they did to Oregon. Put them away early. Do not let that happen. You have to put pressure on them early in this game. Whether that's get an early score, whether that's get even a long drive. Show them that you're here and you can make plays on offense just like they can. And don't let them go score 27 straight early, right? You have to stop them on defense at least a little bit. Make some long drives. Show them this is not going to be easy. And that's how you can eventually move that on to winning the game.
Yeah. For Ohio State, I went the total opposite of Texas. It's throw the ball. Because obviously you might have the best running back tandem in the nation, but they also can catch the ball. That's what's so impressive with Henderson and Judkins. They're great pass catchers, and they're great pass blockers. That's what's impressive to me. So keep throwing the ball. Jeremiah Smith's going to be open this game. I don't care who's guarding him. He's the best receiver in the country right now, left. He's going to be open in this game. Step him in the pocket, make plays. You have two of the best receivers in the country, Ibuka and Jeremiah Smith. Throw the ball. It's the opposite of UT's game plan.
It's easy for Ohio State. You got to continue to dominate offensively. You're playing a really good defense in Texas. Everyone knows that, but you're the better offense, right?
Yep.
Make them try to keep up with you. Make Quinn Ewers and that Texas offense have to keep up with your scoring. Don't dip down to what they're going to do, right? Because if you make them try to keep up with you, they won't be able to. So that's the thing. Just continue to dominate offensively. James, what's your pick?
This game is being played in Dallas. Obviously, it's the Cotton Bowl. I got Ohio State dominating. I have them 34-20. I've got them covering that spread. I just don't think Texas plays a good game offensively. I think Ohio State keeps it up. I think actually Texas is actually at 13 in the fourth quarter. They get a touchdown in garbage time. Ohio State dominates this game. It's not a fun game to watch in the second half. I got Ohio State moving to the national title and being the favorite in the national title.
Your score was close to right, but I'll tell you how it goes. All right. But I kind of basically agree with you, right? I have Texas 38, or no, Ohio State 38, Texas 24. It's just going to be another big game for Ohio State's offense, right? Texas, they're going to try to keep up, but they just won't be able to. Actually think Emeka Egbuka has a big game in this one, with Jeremiah Smith being somewhat limited by Johnny Barron. And I think the winner of this game wins it all, whether it be Ohio State or Texas, just a little wrinkle. The winner of this game is going to win it all.
Maybe. I don't know. If Texas wins this game, they ain't winning it all.
What did we say? Who did we say like 6 weeks ago were the 4 teams that could realistically win the national championship?
Well, that was 4 weeks ago. It's different now.
No, yeah, it could be different now.
It ain't Texas
I'm
anymore.
sticking with my gut.
I think Texas has the least chance to win the national title.
The 14. Well, Texas doesn't. If Texas doesn't get their head out their butts in this game, they're gonna lose. So
if Texas plays Penn State or Notre Dame right now, I'm picking both of those teams over them.
Yeah, but if Texas beats Ohio State, then now they're clicking. Now they're going to beat Penn State or Notre Dame.
I'm still not picking them over.
I'm sticking with my gut. We said it was Oregon, it was Ohio State, it was Georgia, and it was Texas.
And 2 of those teams are out. It's about to be 3.
Yeah, those are the 4 teams. So I'm saying whichever one of those comes out of this game, that's one of the 4 teams. I'm taking them. I'm telling it right now.
If Texas wins that game, I'm taking anyone in the Orange Bowl to beat them. If Ohio State comes out the game, I'll take Ohio State.
If Texas... No, because Texas has to play their best game to beat Ohio State.
Yeah, they have to play perfect. They're not going to play perfect 2 games in a row.
Sure they will. Ohio State just did it.
There's no chance.
Ohio State just did it.
Yeah, well, Ohio State's a better team.
Well, not if they lose. All right. I'm just saying.
All right.
Winner of this game's going to win it all. All right.
Okay.
Let's get it now. NFL picks. We got a guest. He hasn't answered me, so hopefully he picks up. So let's get more.
All right. Let's see. He's been wanting to come on the podcast. So
yeah.
Fan voice. So we decided to let him on.
He's not going to answer. If he doesn't answer, then we're just
not going to do it with him?
Then we'll just have an automatic winner.
No, we have an automatic winner. Yeah, I'll give him like 5 minutes to pick up. No, I'll give him...
Well, if he calls during the picks, we'll let him in. But we'll just pick.
I'll give him 2 minutes before we start for him to pick up. Yeah, not answering. So you genuinely think that Texas can go win the national title?
Yeah, but they got to play their best game this game, which means they got to start clicking. Because they haven't been clicking. They clicked against... The way they played against Clemson, if they can do that...
They didn't even play that well.
They didn't, but they played better than they did against Arizona State.
Their biggest games this year, they have played horrible.
They played great in the first half against Arizona State.
They played Georgia twice. We're saying Arizona State's a big game. They had to go to 2 overtimes with Arizona State. I love Arizona State. I've been cheering for them the whole playoffs. They had to go to 2 overtimes against a Big 12 team.
They played bad in the second half. If they play the same way they did against Arizona State, they're going to get blown out by Ohio State.
That's the same way they've played all year. They're going to lose.
No, they in that first half
they have to play better than.
Shush. If they play like in the first half against Arizona State, if they play like that for 8 straight quarters, they win the national championship. Period. That's how it's going to go. But if they don't, then they're not.
I don't think you realize they weren't that good in that Arizona State game. Did you watch that game?
Arizona State in the
first
first half,
they had a kick returner and a 2-play touchdown drive. Then they didn't score again.
Okay, and their defense. Did you see how physical they were in that first half?
Yeah.
Their defense, Cam Scotty wasn't breaking any tackles. They were getting to the quarterback. They were always getting open offensively. Quinn Ewers was throwing the ball well. If they can do that for 8 straight quarters, they win the national championship. There's no question about it.
If their offense will not... The problem is, if their offense does not play a perfect game, which they have not all year, like they lost to Georgia twice, their 2 biggest games of the year, lost to them twice. They played Clemson in the first round. They play a good game because they run the ball, and they played good defense.
Yeah,
Clemson played a pretty good game, too.
Yeah, if they can do that.
Right? They take it to 2 overtimes against Arizona State.
That wasn't
the biggest spread. It was a 13-point spread, and they got dominated in the second half by Arizona State. They have not shown up in their biggest games this year at all. Now, if they play perfect against Ohio State, they can beat them. But they cannot play perfect for 8 straight quarters. Wow. Someone's going to figure it out. There's no way. Their offense is way too easy to figure out.
So much?
I don't hate them. I never said I hated them. I never said that.
I can't wait for Texas to win all.
Yeah, I never said that. All I'm saying is in their biggest games this year, they had the easiest SEC schedule out of anyone this year. They had the easiest one. Right? And they went 11-2. They lost the SEC championship. Their 2 biggest games of the year they lost. They play close against Clemson in the first half. They end up pulling away. Arizona State game goes to 2 overtimes. They don't play a good game in the second half. They don't have momentum right now whatsoever. Yeah. So and they're running into in my opinion, the hottest team in the country.
Yeah, so that's why we both picked against them.
Exactly.
But say they go win this game, that means they're playing their best football of the season, which means they're gonna go do that in the championship game. That's what I'm gonna think.
Okay.
And that's how they're gonna go win it all. So if they win it, Like,
But you just picked Ohio State to beat them by
I
2
did.
touchdowns.
I said the winner of this game wins it all. That's all I said.
But you picked Ohio State.
I did.
So you think Ohio State's going to win it all?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. But
so why are we talking about Texas?
Because you were talking about Texas when I said that. Texas.
Because they're not going to.
Texas wins this game, they win it all. Texas wins the game, they win it all. Ohio State wins the game, they win it all. These two teams are on a different level than Penn State and Notre Dame. They just are. They're way better. Both of them.
I would take Notre Dame and Penn State right now in a game against Texas.
No.
Right now? If I had Texas on this side of the bracket going up against Penn State, the way that Texas have played, I'm taking Texas. I'm taking Penn State.
I would take Notre Dame right now against Texas. I would not take Penn State against Texas. I don't think Penn State's like that.
What?
I really don't. They play who they play.
You took them to lose by a touchdown against Notre Dame.
Yeah. I don't think
What?
their team's that good.
What?
Okay, we're doing it.
But you just said Notre Dame would pick them over Texas.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame's way better than Penn State. I think
But they're going to beat them by a touchdown?
because it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a dominant performance by Notre Dame. Watch.
What?
Watch. They're going to dominate, and they're going to win by 1 touchdown. Okay. NFL picks. Davey's not coming, so if he doesn't call back during this segment, then Luke Duvall's going to win.
Yeah, he's number one in the
If he does get back, if he does call, then he's going to need 11 out of 14 for the win. So let's get it going. I won. I'm up by 17, 165 to 148, so that's over. So we're just going to start picking. Tampa Bay, New Orleans.
I got the Bucs winning this one. I do think it's a close game, but New Orleans will not win this game because it puts Atlanta in the playoffs if Atlanta beats Carolina. New Orleans doesn't want to win this game. You want to get a lower draft pick. I got Tampa winning this one pretty big.
Yeah, it's easy for Tampa Bay. Win and you're in. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to kill the Saints. Tennessee, Houston.
I got Tennessee. Houston's resting their starters. They're already in. They've already clinched the AFC South. So I have Tennessee winning this game just because I think it's younger talent and they're going to be playing harder. I think they're playing for more. They're not really playing for a draft pick. They don't need much. They don't need the first overall pick. So I got Tennessee end up winning this game.
Yeah. Houston's in their starters. Tennessee's going to win the game. Carolina, Atlanta.
I get Atlanta because they are playing for something, right? You can't control your own destiny, but you can do what you can do. Same thing with the Bengals last night when they beat the Steelers. Atlanta needs to beat Carolina here. I think Atlanta does do that. I do think it's a close game, though.
Yeah, they're going to be motivated. I think they're going to win the game, but they're going to lose the division because Tampa Bay is going to win. But yes, I have Atlanta. New England, Buffalo.
This will be Buffalo, even though they are resting their starters. The Patriots are playing for that number 1 overall pick. They won it, so I don't think they're going to try to win this game, so I got the Bills on top.
Well, the Bills are sitting their players, which includes my king. And it's really, really simple. No king, no win. Give me New England. Jaguars, Colts.
I got the Colts because neither team is playing for anything. I'm not going to watch this game. I don't think fans of either team is even going to watch this game. Jags are fighting for a better draft pick, so I'll go Colts.
I don't know who's playing, and I really don't care. I'll take the Colts. I don't care. All right. Washington, Dallas.
I'm going to take Washington. Dallas will not put up a fight in this game. Washington is going to... I think they're going to run the ball effectively, and I think Washington's going to get some momentum going into the playoffs.
Yeah, Washington's playing for the 6th seed. They're going to go out there, and they're going to get it easy done versus the Cowgirls. Philly and the Giants.
This will be Philly. They're resting their starters. It doesn't matter. The Giants are trying to get back to a top 3 pick, so I'm going to take Philly in this one at home to end off their season and grab the 2 seed.
Yeah, the Giants suck. Philly's going to... It'll be the Kenny Pickett show. I mean, Philly's going to kill them. Giants are just too bad. Green Bay, Chicago.
In a rivalry game, I do think the Bears actually keep it close, but Green Bay handles business. They get it done. They win this one at home in Lambeau.
Yeah, so Green Bay's playing for the 6th seed. I don't think they get it, but I think they win because the Bears suck. But they do get stuck at 7 because of the Washington win.
Yep.
Seattle and the Rams.
I originally was going to pick the Rams, but they've already clinched it, so I'm going to go with Seattle. They're 7-point favorite in this one. They're also not really playing for anything, I guess, but pride. So I'm going to take Seattle in this one in LA. Yeah,
this game ended up not mattering. Something we didn't think would happen a few weeks ago. But I guess Seattle gets their revenge. I think the Rams are resting their starters, right? Yeah, they are.
They already clinched it. That's what,
Well, they're playing. They could play for seeding if they wanted to. But
there's no point.
Because they can fall. They can end up in the 4th seed if they and go and play Minnesota. Yeah, it's either in the 3 or 4 seed. If they lose and the Bucs win, then they're the 4 seed and they play the Vikings or the Lions.
But they'd have the same record. They'd both be 10-7.
Yeah, and then I think the Bucs would get it.
Why did the Bucs get it?
I don't know. It's just tiebreakers, I guess.
Oh.
All right. Miami and the Jets.
I do actually think the Jets are going to win this game because I think it's Aaron Rodgers' last time stepping on the football field. I think he's going to retire after this year. He's already thrown us a little bit. Maybe it's just some media stuff, but Aaron Rodgers will be playing in this game. They might sit some other guys, but I think Aaron Rodgers gets them a win in New York.
I have Miami because they're still fighting. I think they win the game, but they don't make the playoffs. Chiefs, Broncos.
I really do think the Broncos are going to come out slow. I think Kansas City's going to... I think Carson Wentz is going to play a really good game. I think it's going to be close to the end. I think Kansas City wins on the last second field goal. I got KC.
Yeah, I can just hear your Bengals once coming out of you right now.
Yep.
I'm still taking the Broncos. Kansas City's going to sit their players. Denver's going to play hard. They're going to clutch the playoff spot by a lot in this game. Give me the Broncos.
You got them winning by a lot?
Yeah. Chargers, Raiders.
I got the Chargers. Las Vegas isn't playing for anything. They want to lose. Chargers really aren't playing for much either, but they're in. So I got the Chargers winning this game just because.
Yeah, Chargers are playing for seeding. They can get the 5 seed in the AFC. I think they're going to go get it. I think the Raiders suck, so yeah. Give me the Chargers. Yeah, they win. They're the 5 seed. That's how it goes, I think. Because the Steelers already lost.
Mm-hmm.
Niners, Cardinals.
This will be a close game. It'll be a hard-fought game. It'll be a low-scoring game. I got the Cardinals coming out on top by a couple scores, though.
Yeah, this game is completely meaningless. It doesn't matter. My coin landed tails, so I took the 49ers. Minnesota, Detroit, biggest game.
Yeah, it's the biggest game of the week. It's on Sunday Night Football. That's tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It starts earlier, though. It starts at 6.
No, it doesn't.
I think it does.
It starts at 7:20. It starts right over. It starts.
Yeah, maybe it was a dream when I saw that.
Vikings, Lions. Battle for the NFC North. Battle for the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. I actually have the Vikings coming out on top and grabbing that bye. I think the Lions play a good game. I think they've been a little stagnant as of late. Now, they do have injuries. We have to remember that. But I do think the Vikings win this one in Detroit.
I don't know where I thought it was 6 o'clock.
Games are starting right now, by the way. So.
Yeah, no. This is a battle for the 1 seed. It'll be an epic game. Could be an instant classic. But, let's be real. It's always been Detroit. The whole season. It's always been Detroit. They're the better team. They're going to win this game. I got Detroit.
They're more injured, so I wouldn't call them the better team.
We're going to see.
Okay.
Detroit's going to win. All right. Dog of the week.
Dog of the week.
You go first.
I went with Matthew Golden from Texas. I want to show some wide receiver love. So, 7 receptions for 150 yards and a touchdown. He had the 4th and 13 touchdown. 2 saved the game for Texas because they don't score on that play. It's over, and Arizona State moves on to the Cotton Bowl. So, Matthew Golden was a big player in this game. And the thing with Isaiah Bond this year, they got the biggest transfer last year. They got the biggest transfer receiver from Bama. He's not played that good of a season. He's been a little banged up.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a great year, though. So when he's been healthy, he hasn't played great. Matthew Golden's been the guy for Texas. He's going to have to continue to do that if they want to go far.
Okay, my dog of the week is the dog of the week. Jeremiah Smith, receiver, Ohio State. He had 7 receptions for 187 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was just consistently making highlight plays. Drive after drive after drive. They couldn't guard him, period. Nobody can at this point. And he was a really big part, probably the biggest part of the early Ohio State onslaught against Oregon. And he asserted himself as the best wide receiver in college football, period. And he's just a freshman, so that's not cool. College football is going to get dominated by Jeremiah Smith for the next 2 years. And he might win 2 straight Biletnikoffs. We'll see.
Maybe.
Jeremiah Smith, dog of the week.
Yeah, for sure. He's winning it next year. Unless that quarterback is really bad, whoever they bring in or whatever, unless they're really bad, Jeremiah Smith's going to be elite.
All right, well, we're signing off, so I guess we can say Luke Duval is the
Luke
champion.
Duval is the picks champion for this year.
Yeah, you'll see him back on in a few weeks. No episode next week. I'm out of town. We have an episode in 2 weeks. We'll still be able to talk about the semifinals, finals, and all that. We'll miss the wild card round, though, so sorry about that.
Yep.
This is a good Luke Duval. You have a wonderful 2 weeks. We'll keep posting shorts and stuff, and we'll see y'all in the next one.
All right. Appreciate y'all. Peace out.
Thank you.